Bill Gates has become one of the most polarizing figures in the world, with many seeing him as a hero, some seeing him as a villain. A new book investigates the Bill Gates Foundation. It's called The Bill Gates Problem: Reckoning with the Myth of the Good Billionaire, and it was written by investigative journalist Tim Schwab, and he joins us this morning. Tim.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks for being with us. So tell us, you think a foundation, you're giving your money away. What's the bad in that?
What I'm arguing in the book is that the Gates Foundation isn't so much giving away money as it is buying influence. The Gates Foundation today exercises enormous power over fields like public education in the United States, in public health in poor nations around the globe. So these are public policies that we would hope and imagine and want to be organized in a public democratic process.
But it's not, Tim, it's not unusual or wrong for very wealthy people to have influence, is it?
Well, I don't know. I guess it depends on the kind of world we want to live in. Do we want to live in a world in which the wealthiest people have the most influence? There's something, I think, inherently undemocratic, if not anti-democratic, in that model of power, where the richest guy gets the loudest voice. I think in a sober, rational world, we would call that what it is, which is oligarchy. We have all kinds of rules and regulations in place that are attempting to limit the influence that allows someone with extreme wealth to have over democratic functions, over public policy. But what Bill Gates shows us through the Gates Foundation is that philanthropy is really a loophole.
But why pick on Bill Gates? There are lots of wealthy people who have influence, and yet they may not be giving away as much money as Bill Gates is for worthy causes.
Yeah, absolutely. Bill Gates is the most visible, probably the most celebrated humanitarian philanthropist in the world. And I think that's precisely the reason why we need to look at the way he's exercising power through philanthropy. Bill Gates today, he's worth $120 billion. There is an idea narrative out there that he's given away all of his money, and that's simply not true. It's one of a number of paradoxes that define the Gates Foundation. Once you start peeling back the layers, you realize that the Gates Foundation and Bill Gates are a lot less generous than we've been made to believe. And what they're really doing is exercising political influence. So the book is about Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation. But to your point, it really is a case study for a bigger problem. Hundreds of other super rich people, multi-billionaires, have already said that they plan to follow Bill Gates' footstep into philanthropy. So what this portends is a political future in which our climate policy, how we regulate AI, public health, public education, are increasingly influenced by a small number of tech billionaires.
But it sounds like you want the law to change. I mean, they're playing in the system that's been created by our representatives. Are you suggesting that the law should be changed?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. So Congress last looked at philanthropy, private foundations, 50 years ago. So clearly the practice of philanthropy and the nature of extreme wealth have changed a great deal in the last 50 years. And I do think that there's an important opportunity for Congress to take a look at how organizations like the Gates Foundation operate, insofar as they are exercising influence over public schools in the United States, over public health abroad. At a point, shouldn't we have more transparency, more rules and regulations about how these very powerful organizations operate?
What are some of the good things that the Gates Foundation has done? I mean, does this kind of freeze people wanting to be generous with their money?
The Gates Foundation has so far pledged some $80 billion to charitable causes, to, great agricultural development, contraceptive access. And, I would never argue that the Gates Foundation has never done anything good with that money. Of course, there are people in some places at some times who have been helped. The foundation points to its biggest accomplishments of helping poor people get access to vaccines. The problem is, you can, do a very narrow kind of simplistic analysis to look at how many vaccines the foundation has helped delivered and how many lives that has saved. And that's the kind of simple narrative. But what you aren't seeing in that are the opportunity costs, or thinking about the counterfactuals. How many more lives could we save or improve if we had a more equitable and more just approach to the way we manage public health, for example?
But again, that sounds more like a public policy issue than Bill Gates. And I know it takes a long time to investigate for a book like this. But have you compared Bill Gates to other wealthy people and how they're spending their money? I would imagine any large foundation would have issues and would admit, hey, we could have done better here or there.
Yeah, what really makes the Gates Foundation different is it's Bill Gates donating his money from his private wealth to his private foundation. If you look at a lot of other big foundations that we think about, like the Ford Foundation, it's not a guy named Ford running that foundation. So you have Bill Gates donating money to his foundation, his name's on it, he runs it, he controls how the money is spent. Has he really given up that money? One of the endless, complexities in this story are the enormous tax benefits and tax subsidies that go into the Gates Foundation. All of us taxpayers in the United States are richly subsidizing the work of the Gates Foundation, and it's a clear trigger for accountability to have better rules and regulations and transparency about what Bill Gates is doing with our money.
Well, it's interesting. For more, you can follow Timothy Schwab on X. It's The Bill Gates Problem is the name of the book. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you so much.
And we did reach out to the Gates Foundation and did not hear back from them.